Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's Stod here, back with a brand new video. This is a video that I never thought I would make in my life. However, I almost died. So about 1 month ago, I made a video that I went to the hospital because I got very sick. And well, since then, I pretty much have only made one YouTube video because when I thought things were getting better, things got significantly worse and I got even more sick than the first time. And the last month has been one of the worst months of my entire life. And well, I'm gonna tell you the story. Like, I am honestly just so grateful to be here right now and to record this YouTube video because I actually thought the last month that I was going to die, which is crazy to think about, crazy to even say out loud, but I'm just happy to make this YouTube video right here. And well, you guys are gonna go insane about this story because it is one that I have never experienced or even heard of in my entire life. And well, I'm just thankful to be alive. So let me tell you this full story on how I almost died. Honestly, I don't even know where to begin. So about 1 month ago, I made a YouTube video that I got very sick and I had a fever of 104 degrees and I could not get it to go down. And they said that I had influenza. And well, I recorded that entire thing and posted it as a YouTube video of me getting sick and me getting better. And that was about 1 month ago. And I thought everything was great after that until about 2 days later. About 2 days after posting that YouTube video of me going to the hospital, I got very sick again. And not just a 100-degree fever, 105 degrees. I was puking, I had a cough, I couldn't talk, and so much more. It was honestly the worst sickness that I have ever had in my entire life. And well, the first time that I got sick, they said that I had influenza and the C word, and then I got sick again after I made that video, and I had a fever of 105 degrees for about 7 days long, and I could not get this fever to go down. The symptoms just kept getting worse and worse. So I went back to the doctor and well, they told me that I had pneumonia and also influenza A. Now that is a lot of sickness to have in like a week or two period of time. However, it was just getting worse. The doctors gave me no medication. They gave me nothing. They just told me to go home and hopefully I get better. Well, for the next 5 days after that, so 10 days of being sick and my fever is still at 105, I thought something was seriously wrong, but the doctors did not think so. So I went to a different doctor and well, this time things got crazy. So I go into this doctor clinic and I can't even talk because I lost my voice from being so sick. So I made Tori do all of the talking for me. We got checked in and we waited about 30 minutes until the doctor finally called me back to their office. And well, when we got back to the doctor's office, they did a strep throat test and it came back that I had strep throat as well, plus influenza, plus pneumonia, and all of this sickness for the past 2.5 weeks that the first doctor never gave me any medication. And then things started to get very intense because the doctor took my blood and did a whole bunch of different tests to see if I had any other sickness. And when the doctor came back and opened the door, she had one of the most panicking looks on her face that I have ever seen anyone have in my entire life. She told me immediately, as soon as she walked into the door, that I needed to go to the hospital and go to the ER as soon as I possibly could at that exact second. And I was trying to figure out what was going on. Like I didn't feel like I was about to die. I just thought I was very sick. And she told me that she thought that I had a very serious blood infection in my bloodstream called sepsis, which is like a 50% chance of surviving. So as soon as she told me that, Tori and I got into the car as fast as possible and drove to the nearest hospital. And well, this is where things got even worse. As soon as I got to the hospital, my voice was even worse. I couldn't talk. I had a fever of 105.9 degrees, which is insanely high. I felt so bad. I haven't had a meal in about 3 weeks at this point. So I can't talk, I can't eat. I've lost like 25 pounds. I can't even drink any water. Like I haven't peed for like 3 days at this time because I can't keep anything down. It was seriously the worst time of my entire life. And I hope I never have to go through that again because it was so bad. However, as soon as they entered me into the hospital, the very first thing they asked me is if I had a will in place in case I died in the hospital. And that is where I started to panic. Like I actually thought I was about to die because the clinic told me that, the nurse in the hospital told me that basically. They were asking me death questions and I started to freak out. I thought I was going to die instantly. I didn't think I was gonna make it out. And it was seriously the scariest time I have ever had in my life. Like for a 4 or 5 minute period, I was going over my entire life. Like I actually thought my life was going to end. And then the doctor started talking about sepsis and how this blood infection is like a 50% chance survival rate, and they think I would make it through, but they weren't certain. And I was just so terrified. I told them to do whatever they could to get this done with because I was seriously having the worst sickness. I was ready for it to be over. And honestly, I thought I was gonna die. So what happened next is the doctors started taking tests, x-rays, they took my urine sample, and they also took my blood like 9 different times. It was so much. However, as soon as I got in there, they started to fill me with like liquid IV to see if they could get this temperature down because they told me that I had a fever of over 103 degrees for 15 days in February. That is over half the month with a fever that is like death levels, which is crazy to think about. However, they started to pump me full of like liquid IVs and like pain medication, all this stuff. And after about 3 hours of being there, they finally got my temperature down to under 100 degrees for the first time in about 2 weeks. And I immediately felt a lot better. However, I was still very, very ill. So that is when the doctors started doing tests and x-rays. I had a chest x-ray. They took like 7 or 8 samples of blood, I believe. And they're trying to figure out if I actually had this life-threatening blood infection called sepsis. And well, for the next day, that is what we tested for. So after being in the hospital for what felt like an eternity, the doctors finally came in and they said, Jarrett, we're gonna let you go home. We don't have the blood results back yet, but we believe that there's a 70% chance that you do not have this life-threatening blood infection. So they sent me home, and that's what was even scarier is they said, if you get a call from us in the next 48 hours when the test results come back, then that means you need to come to the hospital immediately because you have this life-threatening blood infection. So I went home. I had a fever of less than 100 degrees for the first time ever in like 2 weeks. And well, I felt a little bit better, but they confirmed that I have pneumonia, and strep throat and influenza and all of this sickness still. And they finally gave me medications after 1 month of being sick. They finally gave me medication, and well, I was just waiting for this phone call because I still didn't know if my life was on the line. Either I was just very sick and my body couldn't fight it, or I have this life-threatening blood infection and nobody knows. Like, we don't know until I get this phone call. So for the next 48 hours, I had the worst anxiety in my entire life because I didn't know if I was gonna die or if I was gonna survive because of this one phone call. And well, after 48 hours of not knowing what my future looked like, they finally called me and said that I, Jarrett Stod, did not have this life-threatening blood infection, which made me so happy. And I finally knew that I was not going to die from this and that I was just very, very sick and my body was just struggling to fight all of these sicknesses. So they gave me all of this medication. And over the past week, I have finally got out of bed. I have now had like 3 meals in the past couple days, which is good. But as you guys can tell, my voice is still trying to come back and I'm still not feeling the greatest. I've lost 25 pounds and it has seriously been the worst last 4 weeks of my life. But I'm just so thankful to be out of the hospital. Here's a picture of me when I was in the hospital. It was a very, very bad time. I thought I was gonna die. I felt miserable. And honestly, right now at this moment when I'm making this YouTube video 1 week later, I'm still probably only at like 60%. I actually had a fever the other day of 100 once again. However, I took the medication and it finally came back down. So it's gonna be a very long road to recovery. And I know in the last video, I told you guys I was gonna try to make 1 to 2 YouTube videos a week. And then as soon as I made the last YouTube video, all of the sickness that I had 2 videos ago magically came back, but 10 times worse. But now we know that I, Jarrett Stod, am not going to die and that I just have to get over this sickness. But that was seriously probably the scariest time that I have ever had in my entire life. And I hope nobody ever has to go through that because it was absolutely miserable. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that I start to get better and better and I can get back to making YouTube videos more consistently because I miss making YouTube videos. For the past month or 2, I haven't been able to make like hardly any videos because I have been so ill, and now I am finally starting to feel a lot better. So the Jarrett Stod YouTube videos are finally going to come back, and this is a start of a new era on this channel. I'm gonna start making as many fire videos as I possibly can because I've been away for so long that I am just so pumped to get back to you guys, start making videos and get back on track because this is the longest break that I have ever had in my YouTube channel since I started it 4 years ago. So I am so pumped pumped to get back. But anyways, guys, that is the story on how I almost died. I mean, that seems like clickbait, but it's really not. Like, I actually almost died. It was one of the worst times of my entire life. Now let's get back on track and get to this 10 million subscriber mark on YouTube this year. We only have 9 months to do it, and well, we have the 1 million plaque, we have the 100K plaque, and now it is time to get the 10 million subscriber mark. So if you're watching this right now, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!